Communities organized and ready for emergencies. CORE is a region-by-region program of the ODPM, and it's designed to reach you wherever you are once you're willing to be informed about preparedness. Hello, I'm Nayat Lee. You can get all the information and resources you need before and after an emergency or disaster. It's all available from the ODPM and the Disaster Management Unit of your regional corporation. Before and after an emergency, this is your #1 resource. But remember though, that during an emergency, you and your family are on your own, and it may take hours or days before help arrives.
But don't be scared. Be prepared for if and when that happens. I'm Peter Maurice. Come rain or shine, we're coming to your region to help you and your community get organized and ready for any emergency. Welcome to CORE. Today we look at the region of Chaguanas.
Any disaster can happen at any time, but there are some events that are more frequent in Chaguanas, and residents have to manage them on a regular basis.
Flooding may be dangerous and disruptive,
which is why it's called a hazard event.
In Chaguanas, the most prevalent hazard is flooding.
In Chaguanas, it's bordered by a coastline, which means that the rivers that drain water out of Chaguanas are affected by high tides. So when you have the tide coming up the river, the water is trying to get out, you have backup there. Another thing is that it's a developing area. In the past 20 years, the landscape of Chaguanas has changed dramatically. So you have a lot of new houses coming up, a lot of new infrastructure being put in. Unfortunately, the drainage is not being updated as fast as the buildings. So you have a lot more buildings now, but the same drainage infrastructure that was there 20 years ago. So you have insufficient drainage for the amount of water that's coming by. In addition to that, we have a lot more concrete on the ground. So there's no way that the water is going to flow into the soil. When people dump garbage and litter, especially in the city, they reduce the capacity of the drains to actually channel this water away. So the drainage is insufficient, and it's being hindered by all the garbage that's blocking it.
But apart from flooding, Chaguanas residents are also at risk for high winds and fires.
The best way to avoid tragedy, the loss of property, the loss of life during any of these events, is to plan as a family and as a community.
Floods don't typically target just one house. When you are being affected by it, it's usually the entire community. And that is why we at the ODPM believe that community action is a very, very excellent way to fight the impacts of flooding. You are the expert for that area. I can't come into your community and tell you that it floods on this street and that street. You are the one with that information. You can organize community groups that work together to plan an emergency plan for the entire area, your village. Prior to the start of the rainy season, work together to make sure that the drains are cleared. You can go as a group and request that the rivers in the area be dredged and desilted. But you could make it even a social event, like a community cleanup. You can have a nice cook and you could clean the drains at the same time. So it will be a way for you to get to know your neighbors better and at the same time reduce a problem that's affecting everyone on the street. And the more people that pitch in, the faster it's going to get done. And a stronger community is a more resilient community.
Once your community is organized into a group, you can receive disaster preparedness training from the regional corporations of the Ministry of Local Government.
Just call the DMU at your regional corporation and make a booking for your community group. Remember, CORE stands for Communities Organized and Ready for Emergencies. When your community group is ready, you have determined your muster points, you found out where your shelters are, etc. It's time to secure your home and family with mitigation.
It's simply anything that you can do to protect yourself from the impacts of hazards. Now, a lot of people think hazard mitigation is very expensive, but it doesn't have to be. There are two types of mitigation: hard or structural, and soft or non-structural. As a citizen, you should know all the risks, all the threats that are posed to you. And having that knowledge will not only encourage you to be more active and do more to protect yourself, but it will also allow you to keep calm.
Before a flood, what you should do is keep drains clear. If you live near a river, have rivers dredged or desilted to widen the river channel. You can make this request at the Ministry of Works or the DMU at your regional corporation. Building your house off the ground level is excellent mitigation against flooding. Keep appliances, documents and valuables off the floor. Make sure your pets are safe. Have an emergency kit at home and at work and in your car in case you get stranded for hours or days. Make sure that everyone in your family knows the ODPM hotline 511. Learn how to use your sandbags the proper way, otherwise they will float away. During a flood, the most important thing you can do is stay calm. Also, stay out of floodwaters. Do not try to get to another location. If you see floodwaters rising, call the ODPM 511 hotline. If you're being affected by flooding, call the ODPM 511 hotline. After a flood, log a report with the ODPM at 511.
So the three major types of wind events that affect Chaguanas are strong winds, minor tornadoes, and a phenomenon called microbursts. And microbursts are responsible for a lot of the roofs that are blown off because they come down in a strong gust that spreads out. And you can tell the difference between a microburst and a small tornado because a tornado has an inward rotation, and that's what you see when you look up at the sky, while a microburst just comes down and moves out. A lot of you may have seen the video that went viral, which was called Finding Red Man. And it was a group of friends who were experiencing a high wind event, and they were in a car and they were driving around, and one of their friends, Red Man, was missing. So there's a lot we can learn from analyzing this video. The first thing is that these young people were in a car driving around. That is not what you should be doing in a disaster. And later we found out that Red Man was actually ducked down and hiding somewhere.
What you want me to do? Go back under the step? When I go below there, so I dare not move. Who call me? I said my wife called me, I'm coming.
In that video, Red Man was actually the hero because he was doing the right thing. He followed his first instinct and got cover and stayed there until he knew it was safe to come out.
Go! Look what's all right, come in.
Also, the fact that they were panicked hindered their ability to properly respond to the disaster. And a lot of times, panic is what makes the situation so much worse.
Since high winds, especially microbursts, can lift your roof off suddenly, you should secure your roof with hurricane straps. If you are caught outdoors in high winds, secure cover and wait it out. Protect yourself from being blown away by holding on to something. Protect your face and vital organs by bending over. Never keep loose debris in your yard, as these become dangerous missiles in high winds. After a sudden high wind event, log a report with the ODPM at 511.
According to reports from 2006 to 2011, the third most prevalent hazard for Chaguanas are fires. They have the potential to cause a lot more damage, destruction and death than flooding or high wind events, because fires can totally destroy a home.
In the case of a fire, call the fire department first at 990. Make sure everyone, especially children, know the number to call in case of fire, 990. In Trinidad, there is a Disaster Management Unit, a DMU, for each region, including yours, and this DMU is located at your regional corporation office. If an emergency, event or disaster occurs, the ODPM will coordinate with the DMU at your regional corporation, as well as with other agencies who will deploy on-the-ground assistance as needed in your area. Be clear. A hazard event or disaster can happen day or night, anywhere. Think of your average day. You're at home, you're at school, you're at work, you're in the city, you can even be at the beach or at the mall. Wherever you are, you must always keep a plan in mind in case an emergency happens.
If you're at the mall, for example, Mid-Center or Price Plaza, you are advised to shelter in place. Don't try to rush out and panic and try to get home, because you might just end up being stuck in the floodwater. You could get sick, your car can be damaged, your car could be swept away. So stay calm, stay in place, try to keep yourself safe until you get further information that it's safe to evacuate or you're going to be moved to a shelter.
If you're at the mall when an emergency happens, there are a few things to have at your fingertips. Whenever you're at the mall with friends, always decide on a muster point, a place to meet should anything happen, should you get separated. In that way, you will know who is missing. Always be aware of marked exits and alternative exit routes. If there is sudden shaking, do not panic. Immediately move away from shelving, breakable items, or items stored high. Or drop under something strong, cover your face under your arms, and hold on if you can to prevent being tossed around by strong swaying. If the car park or mall suddenly becomes flooded, move to higher ground. Do not try to drive your car away. Wait for the water to subside. Report rising water to 511. Even if there's no money or time on your phone, you can still call 511. So come now, Chaguanas. Please work with your regional corporation and the ODPM to make your community ready.
Stop talking about it. Actually make a plan.
And remember that until help comes to you, you are your own first responder.
Your instincts that is there to protect you and get you to safety. Now, when you add having the right information and knowledge to that, you are in a very good position to make yourself safe. So, knowing what to do is the difference between life and death in an emergency.
I'm Keith Maurice.
I'm Nayat Lee.
Stay safe
and keep good.